Then I said this to my son, don't worry. The car is just going to the garage. I lied. And it was in that moment I had what I like to call the never again moment. Never again would I find myself in this situation. I had the never again moment. And it was in that moment that I discovered, he said, Shay, put in your notes, selling equals service. No, you can serve and be paid. I never heard it that way before. I came here today with 4 words that will change your life if you be open to it. Do what you know. I'm going to just do what I know. I ain't doing nothing new. I ain't doing nothing fast. I'm going to just optimize what I already know I need to do. And if I do that.
Welcome back to The Shift. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the world of sales, Shay Brown. Shay is a globally renowned leader who has cracked the code of entrepreneurial success with his game-changing 7-figure sales team concept. His work has helped generate over $400 million in revenue, coaching thousands of business leaders to scale and succeed. In this episode, we dive into Shay's journey from the struggles that shaped him to the breakthrough strategies that are transforming how companies think about sales. You'll hear his passion, his energy, and the wisdom that's helped entrepreneurs turn sales into a true team sport. Get ready, because Shay doesn't just talk about creating revenue. He shows us how to build businesses that thrive. This is an episode you don't want to miss.
Good morning. We have Shay Brown in the house today. Shay, thanks so much for being with us.
Amy, it is an honor and a privilege to be here. Thanks for having me here. I always wanted to be on The Shift, and now that I'm here with you and your community, thanks for all the work you're doing and making a change for all the lives that exist today. So thank you, Amy, and your team that does all the work.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. So now that you're here, and I'm glad that you are, tell me a little bit about who is Shay Brown? Where did you come from, and what are you about?
You know, there I was, Amy. I guess I have to share. I was in the 3rd grade. I was in Miss Kurt's class, by the way, in Dale City, Virginia. Now, Dale City, Virginia was a very rural area back then. And in the 3rd grade, Miss Kurtz was my fantasy teacher. I know, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Even in the 3rd grade, I was in love with my teacher. Boy, she was fine. Anyway, it's not about her. But every time during the class, when we had a reading session, for those who remember those days 1,000 years ago, they would bring someone to the front and you would talk about what you had just read as part of the group. And so I got selected to come to the front of the class. As I got to the front of the class started all laughing and giggling, which wasn't unusual, Amy. It really wasn't, because this has been happening since I was in the 1st grade. I was in the front. I was trying to speak. And on this day, I was struggling to get the words out. And something changed that day, Amy. Ms. Kurtz took me down to the principal's office. The principal called in Mother Dear. Now, just to frame it for Mother Dear is a bishop of a Pentecostal church. We only had 35 members in our church, 25 kids. Yes, I did say 25 kids. You can do the math, by the way. Very small church. So she was a Christian woman. So her coming to the school wasn't unusual, because I was getting in trouble, but she was there. And she was sitting there. The principal said, after talking to the counselor, we've come to the conclusion that your son has a severe stuttering problem. And is our recommendation, which I signed off on, he's going to go to, I'm not going to talk about the class, because the class is back in the day. We didn't have all this, I don't know, I'm going to call it politically correct terms, but you went to the class nobody wanted to go to. Okay. I'm not going to call it the dumb class. Not going to call it the slow class. Not going to call it the class kids who are retarded. I'm not going to say those words, but I think you might get the point. And I'm sitting there, Mother, I could see the expression change on her face. She didn't say much. She said, okay. We went home, and over dinner, and we didn't sit at the table, right? I'm just sitting on the couch eating, and Mother sits next to me, and she says, you know, you don't have a severe stuttering problem. Now I'm thinking to myself, as I'm looking at her, certainly I have a severe stuttering problem. They sent me home. The kids are laughing at me, and now I got to go to that class that nobody wants to go to. She said, you don't have a severe stuttering problem. Listen very clearly. Here's the words I want you to hear. She said to me that changed the trajectory of my life. She said, you're just smarter than everyone else. You think so fast that it's taking time for your brain can't process getting the words out. So you just keep being smart. You just keep doing what you're doing. And, you know, I didn't know then what I know now. 40 plus years later, it wasn't about when I was in high school that I found out that Mother Dear lied to me. She lied to me. I do have a severe stuttering problem. I still talk fast. But here's the point and message I want to make to you. Put this in your notes if you're taking notes. Sometimes you need someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself.
That is so good.
And that's the message I think you can relate to. Before I tell you who I am, that's a message I think you can take away in your own life, because Mother believed in me. She still had me stand up in church and talk about what I learned in Bible study. She still told me to raise my hand in class and give the answers that I knew I had inside of me. It was that confidence that she instilled in me. And even to this day, Amy, I still talk fast. Some people laugh and joke and say, Shay talks so fast. It's because I still do stutter, if you ever listen to me, by the way, and I'm so afraid. I can see the words while I'm even talking to you now. It's just, it takes focus for me to get them out. And so my point to you is that you can be whatever you want to be. So I'm Shay Brown. I'm an entrepreneur on a mission, and every day I help entrepreneurs generate revenue in their business so they can really execute the vision that was given to them for the people they were called to serve. And it takes money to do that. And I'm someone who's doing some good things in the community.
Before we even dive in deeper to what you do today, how did you come to that? Okay, you told us the story, but like literally there had to be been some pivotal moment or some deep reflection that got you to that place. Can you explain that to me?
Absolutely, Amy, because I never had a goal of being an entrepreneur ever in my life. My father always wanted us to be entrepreneurs. He always said that was the fastest path to financial freedom, was being an entrepreneur, because it had unlimited financial potential. Now, he didn't tell us about running out of money, okay? He didn't tell us about burning through credit cards. He didn't tell us how hard it was, but he instilled it. I worked for Citibank after undergraduate. I went to Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. And at Citibank, I was in the finance side. After working at Citibank, I left there and I went to work for Verizon. But I worked for MCI and I finished my graduate degree. So I went to Johns Hopkins University. I got a master's in business because I was going to be on this finance guy. And now I'm in corporate. And I rose through the ranks, by the way. I went from a little financial analyst to finally, I was like a director. And they always had me talking to the sales team, going over the numbers, because, we're finance. No, man, finance, you don't talk to nobody, right? There's the steel door there and they shove these papers underneath it and you send them back to plan. Well, that wasn't me. The point I want to make, Amy, is back on May 31st, 2004, my life turned and went upside down. I came in and I knew we were laying off people. It wasn't unusual. It happened. I had been on that side and had to tell people, I have to let you go. I know 13 years of service. Thank you so much. Here's your severance in so many words. And this time I went to Perry Fagan's office and I said, where's the list? What do we have to do? I'm mentally prepared. I've thought about this. And he said, Shay, we have to let you go. Me? Wait a minute. I was the rock star. You think I'm hyper now. Back then, I was on fire. I just knew I would be vice president one day, maybe president of one of the divisions. What? Stellar reviews. I thought I was, as the young folks say, I was him. And I got laid off. I wish I could say I was excited. I wish I could say I was motivated. I walked to my office almost in tears, to be honest with you. You know what happens when they lay off? They pack your stuff up for you. They put it in a box and they follow you to your car. I get emotional thinking about it now because I thought I'd be corporate all my life. Drove home. On the way home, I decided to start my own business, Amy. I went to Kinko's that evening, got some business cards made up, and I hung my shingle out the door. Just hung my shingle out the door. Called myself Coach Shay. Why wouldn't I be a coach? Everybody else was a freaking coach. Shoot, I'm going to be a coach too. Hey, I got something to say. I've been in corporate America. I could be a consultant coach. Doesn't that sound good? Have you ever in your life had a really good idea and you knew it would work? You checked all the boxes. It should work out. And I took off. I was gone. And then after 90 days in business, I was tired. I was frustrated. And in short, I was out of money. Mm-hmm. And Amy, the golden rule in business is never to run out of money. That's the golden rule in business. And the reason I tell you that story is that I went upside down. I started burning through cash. I started burning through my 401k. So I'm burning my credit cards, her credit cards, borrowing money, signing for loans. And anyway, how many people know when the money gets funny and the change gets strange? So now, picture this. I'm a complete failure at this point. divorce, going through a divorce, burning through my 401k, not all of it, but a good chunk of it, upside down and in all my credit, maxed out, no clients. And then all of a sudden, Amy, this is the point of the story. There was a knock at the door. My sons come running upstairs. Dad, someone's still in the car. What? So I run down the steps. I look out the window, and there's my Lexus truck. Now, I love that white Lexus truck. Come on, somebody. If you ever drove a Lexus, it's a nice car, okay? I had some pretty cool luxury cars in my day. But back then, that was a luxury car. And it was being taken away, not for the first time, because he had been here several times. Normally, he knocks at the door and says, Shay, trying to get anything out the car. I mean, not today. He just frustrated. He just jacked the car up. So I looked at him. I looked at my sons. Looked at him. I looked at my sons. And then I said this to my sons. Here's what really just shifted me. I said, don't worry. The car is just going to the garage. I lied. And it was in that moment I had what I like to call the never again moment. Once you look at your own life as we're going through the shift right now, have you ever had the never again moment? And for me, that never again moment was never again would I don't have to lie to my sons and be a complete failure. Never again did I want to borrow money from family, knew I wasn't paying them back. Never again would I find myself in this situation. I had the never again moment. And it was in that moment that I discovered myself. And I said, I've got to find a way to make this business work. And the point that I learned from that, put this down in your notes, is I learned that selling is power. I had to learn how to sell, and I hated selling because it seemed like I was being sleazy. It seems like I had to convince people. It seemed like I had to make someone do something they didn't want to do, but I needed the money. Have you ever needed the money? Like, you don't do anything illegal, but I need the money. That's what entrepreneurship is about. Like, if you don't bring money in, you will run out. I didn't just sit there. I decided I didn't want to get a job. Nothing wrong with getting a job. It's honorable to get a job in these United States of America. I didn't want to borrow more money. And so I did what I thought was best for me. I wanted to be like the other folks who were successful. So, Amy, I went to my brother and I borrowed $5,000. I mean, it's a lot of money now, but it ain't what it was in 2005. And I said, I got an idea. This guy named Eric Lofton was teaching this class on how you can learn how to sell in business and you could have a successful business. I remember we were just listening to conference calls and taking notes. That's what I was doing. So I flew out to Rockland, California, and this is what changed my life. I got out there. There's only 5 of us. I said, where's everybody at? There's a whole lot of people here. It was 5. Put this down in your notes. You don't need a large audience. You just need the right person with the right message, with the right tools. And if you're in business and you're working too hard, especially in the sales department, if the work is too hard in the sales department, you got the wrong tools. You want the right sales tools. He said, Shay, put it in your notes. Selling equals service. You can serve and be paid. I never heard it that way before. I mean, I can be authentic. I can be myself. I can solve a problem. And so I learned this skill called selling. And then as a result of me learning how to help other people get what they want, I said, it might be some people like me. And I just started just teaching free classes at the Starbucks and at college and universities because it was free at the library. And so, Amy, today, that's what we do. We run a company called CEO Sales Agency. And CEO Sales Agency is all about helping CEOs build an 8 to 9 figure sales department so they can have revenue. They can hire the right people. They can have the right tools. And they can do the things that, if you believe in God, you don't have to be a Christian. So if you believe in that, then you believe you've been given these gifts and these talents to serve other people. So they're not for you, but they come through you for someone else. But sometimes you need money to make that connection. If you're like Noah, you have a great idea, but you ain't got no art. Wouldn't that be a problem if Noah never had art?
You went from taking that class out in California to giving free classes at Starbucks and at colleges and universities. And now you run a very successful business. Tell me how that came to be. Where did you get that vision or that idea?
Sure. So where it all started was I was teaching. You have knowledge. You're one day ahead of somebody else. Maybe you're 1 month ahead of somebody else. And these days, you can be 1 week ahead of somebody else. You say, look, I can show you what I did. And as I was learning, I was teaching. My mom was a bishop back in the 70s, okay, when it wasn't popular being a bishop as a woman. Still might not be popular, by the way. And so everything I learned in the Pentecostal church. So it might be like preaching. My mom used to always say, you know, if the preacher's preaching on a topic for so long, maybe they're going through something in their life related to that topic. Well, that was Shay Brown. Now, some of y'all can't relate to the Christian Pentecostal view of the world. So it's like having an instrument. I'll say that. You learn how to play the piano, and because your teacher is teaching you and you play what they played. And then one day you're like, you know what? I'm going to go do it my way. Boom, boom. You get a whole nother beat. Well, that's happened to me, Amy. I was being a parent, learning from my mentors, and Eric was one of them, on how to generate leads and how to set appointments and sales systems and really how to close deals without being salesy. I was learning language patterns that I could be authentic and not just read a script. The evolution came from Partners in Learning, which is how we started, Amy, to Easy Sales Hub, because a number of folks started saying, well, I'm good. I know how to sell. I'm really great at that. I need to try to build a team. And what tools do I need? I believe you need a sales strategy, a sales structure, and a sales system. That all equals our evergreen revenue model. So, Amy, we elevated what's called Easy Sales Hub at the time. And I want you to know, as you're listening, what does this mean to you? That means sometimes you evolve. That means sometimes you pivot. That means where you start, you may change as you go along the way, but it was an extension of what I was already doing. And that was now providing what they would call a sales page, providing the sales systems, making sure they had a database and all the cool stuff they needed so they could bring another person on. They could duplicate who they were. Mm-hmm. And then we would actually call and hire people for them. Isn't that kind of cool? And so that was called Easy Sales Hub. It was a hub you could come to just relieve that as a CEO and focus on other things. And then, Amy, the last step came, and this is for you out there. So some of you just want to learn selling skills, and we got training for that. And some of you like, I just need a system. I know how to hire. I know how to bring my own people in. And then, Amy, we evolved to folks who were generating, I don't know, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 in revenue. And it wasn't about the revenue, it was about the profitability. I'm going to be very clear. My clients, not about how much money they generate. Many don't generate $2 and $3 million. We do work with one client doing $20 million. That's cool. But we work with some clients that just doing $250,000. Okay. But it's very profitable revenue. Let's be very clear. Yeah. And they reached the point where they were ready to scale to the next level. And that scale was, we just want to outsource the sales department and let a chief sales officer run it. And that's when CEO sales agency evolved, because my target audience didn't just become a coach or a trainer or an expert or someone as a speaker. It became someone who already saw themselves as CEO. And they were investing the dollars that were necessary, not so much the money, not about how much money, but they were putting energy on building a sales department that ran on without the ongoing supervision. That's what we call the evergreen revenue model, something we created, we found it. The evergreen revenue model is, how do you do something one time, you build it, and it runs on without your ongoing supervision. It generates at least 7 figures, okay, $100,000 a month. And that was the evolution. The turning point came is that working with the people in the middle, there were so many folks that just said, how much is you coming just to do it? So my client today, most of them have already worked with a coach. They've already worked with consultants. In fact, they're already working with consultants and branding consultants and marketing consultants. So they already understand they're looking for someone to focus specifically on the sales department and be their chief sales officer that reports to the CEO. So that's how CEO Sales Agency came about. Yes, Amy, did we hire someone to do the branding? Absolutely. Did someone help me to kind of say, hey, this is how you evolve? Yes. So I was like, wow, I pay all this money to come up with CEO Sales Agency. Could I come up with that by myself? And the answer is yes, but it might take me 20 years. And I still might have found it. Believing got the children out of Egypt. But believing, with many of you as CEOs, you probably believe you're already amazed. If you're watching The Shift right now, only winners watch or listen to The Shift. Only champions listen to The Shift. Only those people who believe they have potential inside of them to perform at a higher level listen to Amy and all the guests on The Shift. So you're already ready to shift. So you believe that got you out of Egypt. The challenge is, how are you going to get to the promised land?
Yep.
Moses didn't make it to the promised land. I'll be very clear. Some folks who believe never made it to the promised land. But you can make it to the promised land if you follow what Amy teaches, because Amy's amazing. Amy's incredible. Her company is just off the chain, helping entrepreneurs and business owners really have the systems in place they need to have a true company. And they can get you to the promised land. Okay. That's a blessing that you have. But you got to take some different action. So CEO Sales Agency, for those folks who are ready to go to the promised land, you believed in the sea parted and you walked out. You've been taking action in the wilderness. Congratulations. You ain't starving to death, but there's potential to be much higher. You see that promised land. And that's our goal, is to have you get to the promised land faster, easier, with less effort. So Amy, by hiring a company to work with us, we were able to have this transformation take place in probably less than 6 months. It might have taken me forever. I might have been like the children of Egypt. It might take me 40. I may never have gotten there. I'm blessed to meet people like Amy, who I got a chance to meet in Florida, who's an amazing individual. And while I was there serving, I will say that Amy treated me as if I was the rock star and never talked down to me, never said anything. There were some folks who made some comments, and I guess they just figured I was the camera guy, which I was. I'm okay with that. But she treated me as if I was equal. Even gave me a ride home in her car, and a very personal ride with her and someone else, which was pretty cool. And so those are the type of folks you want to align with when you listen to The Shift. Amy don't just talk about it. I've experienced it firsthand, and I was a complete stranger. She didn't know me from anywhere, by the way. I had no idea who I was. Not that I'm anybody important, but I'm just saying she treated me like I was important, and it felt really good. So, Amy, if I didn't tell you that, or we were out where we were, and we were at a resort, a little fancy, spancy place for some, she treated me like I was someone she always knew, as if I was the most important person in the room. And that meant a lot to me, Amy. I want you to know that.
Thank you, Shay. I appreciate that. I do. And I remember that meeting, and it was raining on us, and we were all ready to get out of the rain and didn't want to, we were soaked, but we didn't want to get more soaked. So that was kind of fun. It was funny. We all laughed. But and then
Yeah, we laughed. We got a ride back, and I was really expecting you to say, "Okay, Shay, so and so and I, we're gonna go on back. You might want to wait for the group to get here," and I'd have been fine with that. I've been cool, because I was like, "Okay." At some point, she's gonna say, "Okay, Shay, you might want to wait here for them." But she said, "Nah, come with me. I'm in a hoopty," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't mind riding the hoopty." I'm not gonna tell you she don't have a hoopty, but anyway, we got a pretty cool ride back.
Yeah. It was fun. So you said something important a moment ago, though, that I kind of want to expand on, because
Sure.
it's two things. One, you talked about the promised land, and I've been actually doing a lot of reflection on that myself, right? So I call it the messy middle. The messy middle is that the Egyptians in the wilderness for 40 years before you get to the promised land, but you're given the vision in the beginning, right? So you're given the vision, you go through the wilderness, the messy middle, before you reach the promised land. But
Mhm.
you also said that you had some companies, some organizations, you hired some people, branding, whoever, to help you get there more quickly. And I've done the same thing. And just like you, I've actually said, could I have done it in 10 years instead of a year and a half? This one program that I went through called the Speaker Lab. Could I have done it in 10 years and figured it out? Yeah, sure, probably could have. But I did. But they gave me a recipe to follow. They gave me a recipe to follow that got me there much more quickly.
Mhm.
And so I've invested, I'm not even going to say how much money in programs and branding and
Mhm.
coaching and things like that. I truly believe, as entrepreneurs, when you have the right people in place, the right resources in place, you can get there more quickly. And that's exactly what you and your company do. My company does too, but your company does that for people. So you take them from the vision to the promised land, like the Cliff Notes version, getting there a lot more quickly. Tell us the value that you bring to your customers, or what you hear them say. Maybe give us some success stories, but like, y'all are doing all this amazing work. Tell us about it.
My philosophy is I invest in two things as a CEO when it makes sense and sense. Got to make sense and sense. You know what I'm talking about? Come on, somebody. But number one is I invest in access. So I invest in access into places and spaces I might not be able to be in, or to access the better tools and resources I need. So I pay for access. And then number two, I pay for information. That means I pay for someone that can help me solve a problem that we have in the business. So let me tell you about one of our clients. When I met Shavana, she was already a rock star. She has a business in the real estate side of the house, but it's a little different side, because her real estate does more property management for, I think, 2 or 3 of the largest companies in the country. I mean, she hired a speaking coach that she was already working with. She's
Mhm.
already working with a marketing, quote unquote, branding, business development coach already. And it wasn't like she bought a $97 program, okay, because she didn't have a $97 problem. So when you make investments, it's going to be for most of you more than $97 because you have a $97 plus problem. You're building a business, which is probably a multi-million-dollar problem. And she said, one of the things I like to be able to do is I need to take everything I have and I need to make sure that people can access my content anywhere, any place. And she was talking to me and I said, well, telling you you don't have a sales problem. You have a sales system problem, right? You need a sales strategy, sales system, and a sales structure. If you're already working on it, here's what we can do to make it faster, easier, less effort. Number one, part of our evergreen revenue model. So I get a little detail here, then I'll give two stories. The first one was, let's first make sure we have a signature program that you're going to sell. It's going to get you to at least $25,000 a month. So whatever programs and products you have that, that's fine. We can take any one of these and get to at least $25,000 for just that one product alone. That's $250,000 or $300,000 a year. Let's make that so it's consistent, reliable revenue coming in from just that one product line. Secondly, I said, let's build an irresistible yes offer. So you can make more offers, but I believe we need to refine the offer and what's involved in it and how you're making an offer. So now, step one is 5 steps we have in our evergreen revenue model, right? Step one, you need a signature program to get you to a minimum of $25,000 a month of consistent, predictable, reliable revenue. Okay. Number two, what's the irresistible offer that we have? That means you give them more stuff. It just makes it easy for them sometimes to say yes and take a baby step, whatever the price point is. Number three, I asked, do you have an automated talk system? You might call it a webinar, you might call it masterclass, some of you call it a video sales letter that's already running without your labor. Because the question I was asking is, how do you get paid more for what you know than you can do? And then how do you stop exchanging your time for dollars and instead be able to be paid and you're not there? I said, so what if we had that was running, that was working? Now remember, she already ran ads. She wasn't new. This ain't no newbie, okay? But it wasn't effective. Best case scenario, you make one sale and it pays for itself. Number 4, and this is very important. I want you to listen to this. You need to offer a blueprint. And the offer blueprint for us is you make an offer that is measurable, that is stateable, and that is desirable. Desirable means they don't have a need, they have a want. So I'll give you an example. Shay Brown, I have a fetish for t-shirts, by the way. I'm always in a t-shirt most of the time when you see me, by the way. I don't need another t-shirt. But if I want a t-shirt and I have to open up my phone right now and Instagram or TikTok and one of the people show me a t-shirt that I like, you know what I'm doing? I'm buying that t-shirt. Probably get 2 for like $30. Then I'll pay the $20. I got to have it shipped that week. I mean, I'm not going to wait for someone to put it into USPS mail and it take 5 weeks to get here. So I'm paying another $20. Now, do I need that t-shirt? No. Do I have a desire for that t-shirt? The answer is yes. Now, some of you might be able to relate and say, well, Shay, I like shoes, or Shay, I like to go eat here, or Shay, I like to do this. We all have things we desire. So we have to make the offer and position it so that it is desirable. Not sell it, but it's desirable. That's called an offer blueprint. So we got to make better, stronger offers that connect, relevant, and relatable. Now we got 5 steps. I was going to do this, but let me give you all steps again. Step 1, signature program. Just as we did for Shavana. Rise, reign, lead. Step 2, irresistible yes offer. We build an online community for. Step 3, which was a $3,000 offer. Step 3, we had to build a sales talk that sells. And it had the PowerPoints and all around it. And so she could give that and run traffic to it. Then step 4, the offer blueprint. So it's measurable, desirable. Now, we had to focus on the offer aim. The old way was find someone with a problem. Even Lisa Nichols said this. Tony Robbins, you might know those names. Pain and pleasure, they said. And Tony Robbins got it right. I'm a Tony Robbins fanatic. But I'm part of the new generation. Shay Brown bringing it differently, baby. This is what we do. The Shay Brown remix version. Today, this is the new world. This is after COVID, like after Christ, right? The new world is people pay for 2 things. According to Shay Brown, no one's validated me on this yet, but they will before I leave this earth. Number 1 is they pay for your perspective. In the face of AI today, which if I just want information, I go to AI, that's artificial intelligence for those that have been under a rock somewhere, and it can give me all I need to know. It didn't write the plan for me. It'll give me what I want. No, they pay for your perspective. They can only get Amy's perspective from Amy. Can't get it from nowhere else. And number 2 might be why you listen to The Shift. It's why I listen to The Shift. It's possible all the time on my social media. It's the possibilities. The possibility, if I implement one idea, how many ideas do you need to change your life? Everybody say 1. How many ideas? 1. Why? Because 1 good idea implemented is better than 1,000 ideas you know right now. And Amy's always giving ideas. You got to implement it. So they pay for your perspective and they pay for the possibilities. You put those two together and offer blueprint. Oh, it's another level. So let me slow down and let me get to number 5. You need a super sexy sales page that what? That sells. So you can stop selling your time for money and sell your expertise. A client I was working with, this was right after COVID. They had some PPP money. And this client had spent over 60 some $1,000 on ads, and she working with a consulting firm. And she came to me and said, Shay, we got a problem. It's not selling. I like for you to jump on the Zoom call. They want to know what my perspective was. So I get on the call, I show up and I'm on there and they're like, the consulting company, it's already sales and marketing go together like peanut butter and jelly, but we fight like oil and water. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm on there and they're already annoyed. They got me on there. Like, who's this guy? So I get on there and they do their part and then they come to me and the guy says, so if you looked at our website, what do you see? And I'm thinking to myself, I said, well, I got good news and better news for you. He looked at me, okay. The good news is I'm going to save you guys probably about $50,000. The better news is it's not going to cost you a dime. You don't have a sales problem. Now, they had leads that were going to the page, but they weren't converting, right? So he looks very annoyed, guy. He's very annoyed. Like, if he could call my name, he probably would have. You're here because they said you are the sales guy and there's a sales problem. So can you tell us what it is and we can fix the site? Like, really annoyed. I said, good news, you don't have a problem. No, seriously. Okay. Here's what you have. You have an outdated method of how you're doing it. The old way was you would run people to a website. And I want you all to think right now on the Zoom call, when's the last time you bought something from a website? For many of you, probably never, right? You might go to a website for branding, for information. It has to help support the brand story and the brand message. But when you typically buy, you go to a one-page sales page that has a problem, how it's solved, and you make a decision. The challenge we have, we can't help you in the sales department. Even if you want to hire my company now, because you run all this traffic to the website and no one's opting in. You got a free gift. Anybody buying that? And they may download the free gift. And so, yes, it's great to tell me you have, 23,000 leads that have come into the database with almost 0% conversion. I'm not surprised. What if we take the price off of the page? That's problem number 1. Price only matters in the absence of value. So in the old days, you could go to a page, see what it costs, and maybe buy something. In today's world, when you're doing what they call a high ticket, 5, 10, 15,000, if they don't know you, they normally got to opt in. And once they opt in, then they go to the next page. So the purpose of a sales page, and I asked the question, what's the purpose of the sales page? He said to sell. Wrong answer. I'm glad you're on the Family Feud. Oh, well, they was furious with me, but they were furious. But I didn't have nothing to lose. What did I have to lose? Wrong answer. X. The purpose of a sales page is just to collect their information. And then they go to what's known as a checkout page. The purpose of the checkout page is to add value and then say, here's the next step. Now, because that didn't happen in the first round, there's no leads for us to follow up with. But if you change and have a sales page, because they can build, I don't care who builds it. Now they can opt in. Now they're in the sales funnel. If they don't buy on the next page, we can do what's called an abandoned cart sequence. The abandoned cart sequence means we can reach back to the people who didn't buy. We can also do retargeting to the right people. If not, you'll be targeting everybody who went to your website. Good luck with that. Spend more money if you want. Anyway, back over to what Amy said. Shavana decided to hire us. We built her content for her, did it in less than 30 days. She launches her webinar. Very first week, she has 17 sales times $3,000. Do you need me to do the math? Round up to 20 if you want. That's not a bad day at the office. She's done very well since then.
One of the things you said when you were going through your 5 steps, you talked about how it had to be attractive, and you were the person who it wasn't a need, it was a want for you. That's one of the things that I talk to people about quite a bit, and especially exactly what you said. You said after COVID, like there's pre-COVID world and there's post-COVID world. And what all the studies, so I'm a big I read research and I read studies and all of that kind of stuff. But one of the things that I read recently, when I say recently, in the past 2 or 3 years, that was like, oh my gosh, there is so much truth to this, Shay, is that people buy based off of emotion. All these marketing companies, they put percentages up, they put dollars up, they put all of this intellectual, rational side of the brain marketing materials out there, when at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are or what you buy, whether you're buying a car for yourself, a t-shirt for Shay Brown, or you're investing in a company for your organization, you make an emotional purchase that at the end of the day, people buy based off of emotion. And there's a ton of psychology that goes into that to support it.
And from a sales view of the world, which is how I see the world, by the way, you're spot on.
Thank you so much for all that wisdom and all that sharing your heart with us, your story. If there's anything else you feel on your heart that you would like to share that you haven't yet shared, I want to give you that opportunity.
Yeah. When I first, for many years, I would say not my first, probably many years, even still today, I was very hesitant to collaborate with other folks. I had started a collaboration. We even did a joint venture together, and I lost my shirt on the deal. It wasn't about the money I lost, although I lost a lot of money. It was about the relationships, about the time, about the ag. And this is over 4 or 5 years. Started off really, really well. And then it kind of went sour. Then it kind of went dark. And Amy, I went through a period where I was like, I was going to just be a Lone Ranger. I said, it must be me. I can't pick people out. No one really wants to collaborate. Everyone's talking about it, but they only want what's in it for them. I'm not going to do that. I can be profitable myself. And then I had the realization, and it's not a new idea. It's sometimes overused. They always say you can go fast by yourself, but you can go further with others. Yeah. And my point, takeaway for you that I want you to have right now is that collaboration crushes competition. It's one of our 12 rules for life. We got 12 rules, by the way. But one of them is collaboration crushes competition. Take a moment to slow down so you can speed up. Don't be like Shay Brown. Look who you can collaborate. I have an opportunity now to collaborate with Amy. Look at who you're collaborating with, not just taking away from, but collaborating with. They get better, you get better. I promise you, it's opened up so many more doors for me than anywhere else. Even serving sometime doing media is open up doors. And those are collaborations, a little different because I'm serving, but it's opened up so many doors that it would not have opened up if I wasn't doing that. I'll share one story. There I was on the stage, by the way. It was 600 folks. I'm at an event, and I'm one of the keynote speakers. And I was really excited because, it's a moment. You ever waited for a moment in your life where you've been talking or speaking or writing, and you finally get that invite, and you're like, whoa, like me? Oh, man, I was so excited. So I get there, and it's a 3-day event. I'm on the 3rd day, and it's going well. Then they come up to me the 3rd day about lunchtime, and they say, Shay, we got to tell you something. I said, what's that? We're running behind. Blah, blah, blah. When I say blah, 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 they tell me some warm and fuzzy stuff. But then he said these words that just, oh my God, hit me like a ton of bricks. I was hit with a punch I never saw coming. He said, Shay, you only have 5 minutes. Now, so I was doing a 45-minute keynote, right? Okay. So I was already like, okay, if I don't get 45, I could do 20. You take what you can get. 5 minutes. Like, what do you got to say in 5 minutes? That's what happens when you're like low on a totem pole, by the way. I guess it happens to the big dogs as well. I said, what can I possibly say? Like, seriously. So I go out there and I'm talking to 600 entrepreneurs. These aren't like rookies. These are people who've been in business for a while. It's a pretty big event. And I walked on stage. I never forget this. As soon as I got the mic, I said to the audience, I said, many of you, you're already successful. And I came here today with 4 words that will change your life if you be open to it. Just 4 words. And then I'm going to move on. Okay. The 4 words I want to have is, put this in your notes, you can write this down too, by the way, is do what you know. Put it down in your notes. Just do what you know. And I talked about how my father used to always say, the best intentions don't equal the best results. So many of you came here with the best intentions to make a change. Many of you came here to get what you needed to go operate in your business, but the best intentions don't equal the best results. That's from Marshall Brown. So I'm only here to say, do what you know. Look at your notes. Look at what's been told before I showed up. Make a decision. Circle it now. Circle it now. Circle it now. Take a picture of it and text me. And you might even hear me say this at your thing, but text me what you just wrote down. The thing you're going to do. You're going to do what you know. And you're going to make a promise to yourself that you're going to stay the course. And if you stay the course and do what you know, my promise to you, if I'm back again next year, you're going to be very, very successful. My name is Shay Brown. Make it a great day, everybody. I'm out of here. Blah, blah, blah. And that's all I shared. And you know what? I got an email. One person sent me an email. Oh, my gosh. And said, Shay, thank you very much. It made a difference for me. That's exactly what I need to hear. I'm taking it back to my team. The person didn't buy anything from me, Amy. But they walked away with that do what you know, quote unquote, Mamba mentality. I'm going to just do what I know. I ain't doing nothing new. I ain't doing nothing fast. I'm going to just optimize what I already know I need to do. And if I do that, I can make it happen. Yeah, that's what's on the other side. That's what's really possible for you. But you got to take action because the universe rewards people who take action different than those that don't. So my message to your audience right now, Amy, when they show up for the stuck and they get unstuck and they show up for this every single time, the shift is to do this. Just do what you know when you leave.
Love
you do that, they're going to be successful, Amy.
I love it. Shay, thank you again so much for being here. I love your energy. I love your storytelling. I love the success and the comeback kid that you are. You talk about the real stuff, like literally you've been there. You've done the hard work. You're here now helping people. And we just appreciate you. I know firsthand how busy you are, how valuable your time is. So the fact that you chose to spend this time with us I'm very appreciative of it. So with all that being said, will you please tell us how people can get in touch with you if they need the help that you can provide? Because you're obviously helping a lot of people. And I believe the people who watch our podcast are some people who could say, hey, I could use Shay Brown's help. How would they find you?
Absolutely. Let me give you the website you can find us at. I want to connect. Maybe you're out there right now. Like, hey, Shay, I just want you to take a review of where I'm at. I want you to do a sales department audit. We'll do that. You can go to CEO salesagency.com, SALES agency.com. Now, once you get over to www.ceosalesagency.com, just hit the button and book a time to speak. And when you book that time to speak, just put down Amy. My promise to you, I can't do it for everybody, but for the first 10 people that do it, I'll personally show up and you and I have a one-on-one conversation. And what's the big takeaway for you? My promise to you, I only got one promise, it's good use of your time, that you'll walk away with at least one good idea you could use inside of your sales department, with or without me, that you can implement on your own that will help your sales department generate revenue that you need or want in your business now. That's the big promise. So it's not just come to this, oh, let me come talk some fluff. It's no, let's just do an audit. And I also want to say for those folks that tune into the shift, for Amy and her team, just amazing folks. Amy has a heart to give. She has a heart to serve. Amy's someone that helps you really imagine what's possible in your business and in your life. But she goes beyond just imagining what's possible. She helps you take that next step that I really like. And that's the shift to me. She helps you believe that it's possible. And isn't that important, that you do have to believe that it's possible. But a lot of folks believe it's possible and they don't go to the gym and work out. A lot of people believe it's possible and they still spend more than they make. A lot of people believe it's possible and they're still miserable in their job or their relationship. So Amy helps you imagine what's possible. She helps you believe what's possible. But everyone put this down in your notes. Amy is on the journey with you to take the action you need. You do that. Imagine, believe, and take the action based on the blueprint that Amy and her team gives you. Then not only will you be successful, but you'll impact not only your life, but your family, your community, and those around you. And you'll leave a legacy, not just the money, but a legacy of other folks who will be well off as a result of me. So Amy, I want to encourage you and your team at The Shift, keep doing what you're doing. Keep making a difference for others. It's needed. Your voice is needed. Your platform is needed. Your message is needed. And if you ever get a chance to meet Amy or attend any of her events, make sure you show up. Not sure because of Amy. I mean, Amy's cool, but she'll be fine. But she's always willing to, instead of operating in a place of scarcity like this, she's operating in a place of abundance. And so she says, I don't have all the answers, but she brings other folks who do have answers. So maybe you can learn directly from Amy or folks who's in her association. If you get a chance to do that with her and the team, make sure you do that. With that being said, Amy, thanks for all you're doing, man. God bless you. God bless all y'all for watching. We appreciate you. My name is Shay Brown. Find me over at www.ceosalesagency.com.